Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Book Club podcast. I'm Camden and I'm so excited to kick this off and bring this project to life. So since this is our very first episode, we thought it would be good to start with introductions and kind of just share what Book Club is and about our creative journeys. So I know you may be wondering what Book Club actually is, and I will say it's not your average book club. This is a space where we talk about and explore different creative outlets, whether it's content creation, writing, design, web design, anything in between. We're just kind of here to break it all down and share our experiences and hopefully inspire you along the way. So whether you're a beginner looking to start your creative journey or someone who's already an expert in your hobby, this podcast is perfect for you. We'll be sharing tips, stories, and even some behind the scenes of our own creative projects. So if that sounds like you, this is the place for you. We'd love for you to be part of the conversation too, so just make sure y'all also follow us on Instagram and Pinterest for even more behind the scenes and creative content type stuff. So anyways, our team basically consists of 4 people, and we're all college students who want to help share our passions and what we love to do creatively. We all have separate niches, like for example, I love all things social media and content creation. Julia is into digital illustration and creative writing. Nikhita excels in web and app design. And Emily here is just kind of our serial hobbyist. You'll hear more in depth about their interests and experiences later, but I'll just kind of start off with a quick intro for me and then let y'all meet the rest of our team. So again, I'm Camden, and I am a digital media and entrepreneurship student here at KSU. But more than that, I've always been obsessed with content creation, and ever since I was a kid, I've loved filming and editing videos, and also experimenting with photography. I had a camera when I was little, and I literally still have that camera. I use it for my own personal Instagram. I just loved making things for fun. Like, I would always make little movie trailers with my family and friends, and I even still have some of those. Or I'd record the games I'd play. Like, Minecraft was a huge one for me. I had my own little Minecraft YouTube channel. But I'd record those, I'd edit them, I'd upload them to YouTube, and I just always had so much fun doing all that kind of stuff. And always just had a love for creating and sharing my love for things and my personality, like with others online. When I got into high school, I decided I actually wanted to join yearbook for the photography aspect of things. I ended up being on yearbook actually all 4 years, and my junior year I was the photo and design editor, and then my senior year I got promoted to being the main editor of the yearbook with another girl, which was so cool for me. I didn't think I would ever be the editor of the yearbook, but yeah, along with that I kind of started my own little photography business my junior year of high school as well. And I never actually had a real quote-unquote job, like real job before, but that is how I made my money in high school. And I was always determined to make my money and make my living doing something I enjoy and where it doesn't even feel like I'm working. And I'm still the same way. That's why I'm an entrepreneurship major. I really want to enjoy what I do and create my own schedule, work for myself, just love all aspects of my life, including my job. But that started when I was young, and I'm just still the same way. But with this photography business I had in high school, I actually had some really cool opportunities. Like, I was hired by GHSA for an event with bass fishing. I took photos of the champions, and then also I worked with Denmark High School's lacrosse team a lot. I did their senior banners 2 years in a row, and also did like lacrosse senior night. But I met a lot of new people and grew my portfolio, my experiences, and my love for photography. And yeah, I really just focused a lot on sports photography because I was in yearbook. But when I started going into college in my senior year, I decided I wanted to lean more towards portraits, which I love doing both, but portraits are kind of where I would be at right now. Haven't done photography in a while, but I always have that love for it in my heart, and I will so easily go back to it. But anyways, as I began college, I still did photography, as I said, and leaned more into portrait photography than sports, but that passion I had for content creation since I was in like elementary school was still heavily calling my name. My personal socials I used for fun, but I still also treated them like it was my little job. I always had that dream of becoming something bigger on social media, and I wanted it to be perfect. I am a perfectionist with my social media. If you know me, you know I spend hours on an Instagram post. But that aside, I was invited by KSU Admissions to be a part of their brand ambassador team. So that kind of slowly started my transition from making my personal socials into something I wanted to grow. I'm still a brand ambassador, and I am so sad because it's my last semester at college, so it is my last semester being a brand ambassador, but that was something that really started the change for me. The later half of my freshman year of college, I actually started truly creating some content to grow an audience in hopes of one day partnering with brands, and last year that actually finally paid off. I've worked with several brands now, and my first ever paid collaboration was with Welch's Gummies, which was so cool for me. But I've also worked with apps like Swipe Wipe multiple times, if y'all have heard of that, or Feed Preview. Things like that. I've worked on both gifted and paid collaborations, and it's just a dream come true for me. There's so much growth that I still have to do. It's not like I have a crazy amount of followers, but I've been able to work with several brands, and it's just been really cool for me. And the kid me looking back at me now would be so proud and would think I'm so cool, which is just a dream. But yeah, being paid to do what you love and have loved for a long time is so fulfilling and rewarding, and has always been a goal of mine. So I really hope to take this to the next level, make it a full-time income, whatever it may be, content, photography, social media. But yeah, now that you know a little bit about me and what I love, it is time to hear from our other members, so I'll pass it over now.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm a senior at Kennesaw State University. I am part of book club with the other lovely ladies that you've heard on this podcast, and again, I have no podcast knowledge, so buckle up, because this should be interesting between all of us, and maybe we'll get the hang of it by our last episode. Who knows? I am actually currently not working for the first time since I was 16 to really focus on school, since I only had 9 classes left, and I figured why not? And it's been absolutely amazing. So when I'm not focusing on school in my free time, I absolutely love exploring different hobbies. I have a passion for cricket crafts, which I've been doing for about 5.5 years, and it's been an incredible way to dabble in different mediums without putting in too much of a commitment. It started because I was getting married, and I just had a lot of different things that I wanted to make instead of paying other people to do something that I knew I could do, which tends to be why I get into any of the crafts I do, because I would prefer to just do it myself, which is also probably going to be on my gravestone. She thought she could do it herself. And most of the time, it turns out okay, but a lot of the time, there are many fails in between. So with the Cricut crafting, I create layered paper crafts like cake toppers or 3D design that you can put into a shadow box. It can be different things, whether it's words or nature landscaping, things like that. You can get really creative with it and create different designs. I've done quite a few of the cake toppers for my nieces, and the most recent one was for laser tag. It was really cool. But we've had another one that was a unicorn, and it always says Happy Birthday Josie with a number on it. So definitely can get creative with those, and depending on the paper that you're using, it can be shiny. You can create a shaker card. It's just really cool. With that, I also use adhesive and heat transfer vinyl. So with the vinyl, I can make shirts, car decals, different signs for indoors and outdoors, etc. Vinyl's really diverse, and it's been fun to learn. It can also be highly frustrating when it gets stuck together. I can also engrave on metal, cut fabric, create stencils for doormats or glass etching, and I can create cards with just regular cardstock, and I can also have the machine write different sentiments or draw a picture for me. A lot of people use it to create coloring pages on the cheaper end for their kids, and that is also really cool. I also very much enjoy cross-stitching, which keeps me busy while trying to quiet my brain. Something about me is that I have very severe ADHD, and so it's noisy up in my noggin all day long. So anything that I can do to kind of remain doing 2 things at once is my goal. So I usually will cross stitch while I watch TV, and it's something that I watched my mom do while I was growing up and learned a very long time ago, but for a long time in my life I was very against any crafts at all. and most other hobbies because my mom and my sister were very big into them, and I just refused to be categorized with them. Now that I'm older, I can see the way of their world. And really, I'm probably the biggest crafter now out of the three of us. And so I picked up cross-stitching last year after I was laid off and had my mom teach me through FaceTime. So it is pretty easy. It's, once you get the hang of it, it is just muscle memory, but you will realize that you cannot count. You can think that you can count, but you cannot count. It will be wrong, and that's okay. But it is frustrating sometimes, and I absolutely understand the urge to want to quit. But I think it's absolutely been worth it to keep going. With my cross-stitching, I've also moved into trying to hand dye Aida cloth, which is a craft all on its own, so I can dive into that another time. But now that patterns are more modern and easily created and available on Etsy, it showed me how much more there is to it. Whereas the patterns when I was growing up were very formal and a little bit stuffy, I would say. Definitely for an older crowd and generation, whereas now they're fun, they're flirty, they're bright colors, anything that you want them to be really. If you can think it, they probably have it, including some for Shrek and Chaperone. Outside of these two, I have dabbled with UV resin for jewelry making, sewing on a machine in an attempt to make dog bandanas, diamond painting, and I'm teaching myself to hand embroider at the moment. I'm not sure about that one, but I do love machine embroidery, but I will not be paying the price for that machine as of now. Next up, I'm probably going to be learning crocheting, and I will be going back to the sewing machine as straight lines are still a little bit iffy. My forever hobby, though, is reading, as it's my time to wind down and truly have a quieter brain. Reading is just near and dear to my heart, and I love the doors it can open. My all-time favorite romance books are Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake by Maisie Eddings and Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I would, in fact, read their actual grocery lists if I could, because I just cannot get enough of these authors. Maisie does try to put neurodivergent and just different disabilities in her books, and I think the way that she incorporates them is really important for visibility and just realizing that, yeah, it's really hard, but that doesn't stop you from doing anything. And there's ways to work around it. And then Emily Henry, I would say, is likely one of the romance goats of the era, really. I just think that her writing is so captivating and she really tackles some hard things without feeling like that's what the book is about. It's just a subplot and it's on how to work through things, and that's what makes her so unique in her writing, at least in my opinion. I also love mystery and thrillers and crime-based books. I dabble in history a bit, so A Court of Thorns and Roses, yeah, I know, it's everywhere, and Fourth Wing, also everywhere, are on my love lists, with my first fantasy being Emily Winsnap when I was in elementary school, and moving into a vampire-based series called House of Night by PC Cast, probably in middle school. So I am always open to talk books and just really get people's opinions on everything. I can always share some of what I'm reading, my thoughts, opinions, ratings, all that good stuff. But I'm really excited that you guys are here and have joined book club. Stay tuned for all of our next how-tos and what we can bring for you.
Hey guys, my name's Julia Whitfield. Just Julia, you can call me by that. And I'm one of the people on our little book club team. I am into digital art and creative writing, and it's just a little intro about me. So I am a senior in marketing. It's been an interesting few years doing that, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm glad this is my last semester because I want to, can't wait to get out of here, but also can't wait to start a career in marketing if I can find a job for it at least. But I'm hopeful, but I'm really excited for this class that I'm taking right now with these lovely ladies because I like being creative with my talents, and one of my big things is art. So I might as well just tell y'all how I started getting into that. I started digital art at a younger age. I more did traditional, just in a sketchbook drawing and stuff. I started doing that when I was really young. Can't remember specifically, but I remember like a specific bigger starting point was when I was in 7th grade. Like I remember making my own characters and getting involved with quote unquote story writing. I never really wrote stories. I just kind of had them in my head, and I want to do more creative writing. I just never do it. I am lazy sometimes. And I know I need to do better about it. It'd probably be something good to start doing because I have a lot of story ideas. I want to make cool stories. But regardless, I love just drawing cats. That is where I started because as a kid I decided to read Warrior Cats, which is a book series written by Aaron Hunter. It's actually a group of authors and not just one. And I grew up with those books, loving those books. My sister didn't even want me to read them because she was like, they're too violent. And I'm like, okay, well, I really want to read them. And then I read them and was like, this isn't as bad as you made it out to be. Like, this is really good storytelling. This is something I was really interested in. I never really got into other books. I just couldn't. I only was able to focus on something that's animal related because, I don't know, I just felt like I connected with it a lot more. Like, growing up, I watched animation movies. I watched animated animals and all that. Like, that's the gist. That's just how I operate. And so ever since then I've been drawing cats, drawing animals. I gotta branch out, but cats are my specialty. But I've been drawing that since 7th grade. I've been making characters, just having them on paper, and then I at one point transitioned into digital art, getting an iPad, being able to draw on Ibis Paint. Ibis Paint was my first program that I really used. So now I can talk about like the programs I use. I used Ibis Paint when I was younger, but now I've upgraded to Procreate, which is a very popular app. You can only get it, I believe, on the App Store. It's not something for like Android devices whatsoever. So like, sorry guys if you have Android and want to draw like me if you see my stuff. But Ibis Paint works too. There's also Clip Studio, which I want to get into, but it's kind of like a monthly payment thing, and I'm like not able to do that right now. But yeah, art has been something, my outlet for getting my emotions out and also just my creativity. This is how I express myself. Some people look at it and they're kind of like, this is a little weird. I don't know how I feel about this. But I'm like, it's just how this is just how I get my stuff out, man. Like, it's good. It's easy for me. And some people don't get it, and that's okay. Some people do get it, and they're like, this is super cool. And I'm like, thank you guys, because I love drawing. I love doing art. It's my big thing. And yeah, this is a big fat intro for me, but that's a little bit about my art journey. And if you go through the gallery of where we're going to post photos and I have some art pieces, you'll see like recurring characters probably, because there's a main one that I have, and she's like this very fluffy cat. Her name's Radiance. She's got like star markings on her. You'll see her. It's like she's very fluffy. She's like a character that represents me in just my creativity and what I like, and just a combination of all that. And one main thing though is that I've been really wanting to do a lot more faith-driven art, because that is a big other thing for me. I am a Christian. That is something that has been very big on, like, that is my life. And I really want to translate that into my art. I have a lot of art pieces that I have made that are spiritually related, and I look at them and I just see how much I've grown with my faith and my relationship with God and Jesus. And it's just been a really good journey. Like, he brought me to art for a reason. And I'm really glad to have found art, because he has led me to a community online of other artists who are in the faith, and that is something that has been very big for me, and I just really do enjoy it. I've made so many cool friends, over a 3-year period I've been friends with these people because of just how much their love for God and their love for art has been. It's just really cool. Like, if you get into certain communities, such as the art community, you are going to find your people. It's not like you're going to find some community in that. There's always a community for somebody. No matter if it's like sport related, something else, cooking related, or art, there's a community for you. And you'll find the right one in time. It may take a little bit, but it took a little bit for me, but I'm glad that I was able to find it. And that's just a little bit about me. That was a bigger intro than maybe some of the other people, but I felt like yapping and it was just very fun. So I'm going to hand it off to the next person who's going to speak, and just thank you for letting me yap for a good solid 7 minutes basically.
Hey guys, I'm Nikhita. I do just want to go ahead and say that I have never, done a podcast or really, recorded my own voice or anything, so we're going to see how well this works. I'm actually also going to be painting while I talk because, I have really low attention span, so we're going to see if that works out. A little bit about me: I am an interactive design major at KSU with minors in both marketing and advertising and digital media. Interactive design, for those of you who don't know, is a branch of UI or UX design, and basically I design websites and apps. So that's kind of where my creative ventures are currently. I've spent a lot of time staring at the computer, designing websites, apps. Not necessarily the most pretty or interesting thing to look at, because it just kind of looks like maybe a bank app or something, depending on what I'm designing. But as a kid, I used to paint a lot, and I used to do, and a little bit older, middle school, high school, I used to make some 3D sculptures. I did a couple wire ones. It was really fun. As an adult, though, finding the time to do anything really creative, or just finding the mental energy to sit down and create something is a little bit difficult. So lately I've been going to good old Michael's or Hobby Lobby and picking up some little craft kits. So right now I'm currently working on a paint by numbers. Fun fact, the paint by numbers have really low quality paint, and so you kind of have to go through everything 18 times. Also, the little sections are super tiny, so it is a little bit of a struggle, but it's been pretty fun. I've done those little diamond paintings and those gym paintings before. A little bit they're kind of really tedious. Actually, it's kind of an ongoing thing with a lot of these craft kits, is that they are very tedious and take a lot of time. And I'm also trying to learn how to crochet, and I have a few crochet kits. I'm really bad at counting though, so that's been kind of difficult. With this podcast though, I guess I could talk a little bit more about the podcast. We're just kind of talk about how all of our different creative outlets, everything that we like to do, I guess provide some tips and tricks and some tutorials. So if y'all have anything specific that y'all want to see, let us know, just so you kind of know what y'all want. Assuming that y'all are listening to this. I'm not really a big podcast listener, so this is going to definitely be an adventure for me, and I don't know if anyone else on the team has ever made a podcast before. So it's going to be a fun little adventure to take you guys on. So I guess I'll just talk a little bit more about design work. I use Figma, which is kind of just the design the standard right now in the UX design world. It's how would I describe it? It's Adobe Illustrator, but better, because you can do interactive things. In Figma, I can basically create a whole app without coding it, and you can use you can use their preview and do a trial run of that app and see what it looks like before you hand it off to a developer or someone to make it real, which is actually really good because that means you can have it tested before making it. So if you don't know if this feature, you're making an app or a website and you don't know if the feature is really something that you want to include, or you don't know where you're going with it, you can make it out in Figma, which does take a lot of time. And then you can, test it with people and have them click through it and click all the buttons, see how they use the app, just to kind of see if it's worth your time and, the money of having people build it out for real and publishing it, which is a completely different thing. So I don't actually make things, I usually just design them. So please don't ask me to go build you a website. It's not going to be great. I can design it and it'll look great, but I cannot sit there and code it out and build it for real. I do use a couple website building platforms. Not really Wix, which is what our website's hosted on. do have a little bit of beef with Wix. It's a little difficult to use and get it to work the exact way I want it to work, but that's okay. It's definitely going to be a process there. But I've used like Webflow. I'm getting into Framer just so I can actually like build websites. Not necessarily apps, but build websites without actually coding them, because that's a whole different ball game. And you have to know a lot to code a website to make it look as good as you kind of imagine or want it to. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Kind of what I do, a little intro. Bye!
Okay, guys, so that was it for our first podcast. This is Camden again. But just want to say thank y'all for listening, and make sure to go follow our socials. That's where we'll be posting a lot, and where you'll keep up with us. So it's at bookclub.corner on YouTube, Pinterest, and Instagram. So make sure y'all keep up with us there. We'll be doing some interactive stuff too, and we want to see y'all's artwork. So make sure you post your artwork and submit it to us too. We would love to see it. But yeah, we're so excited to see how this goes this semester, and we're so happy that y'all are following along and listening. But bye, see y'all later.